Hi, I'm Bill Pearis, an editor at Brooklyn Vegan, and you are listening to BV Interviews, which features conversations with some of our favorite musicians. This week, I'm talking to Big Thief guitarist Buck Meek, whose fourth solo album, The Mirror, is out this week via 4AD. It was made with Big Thief drummer James Krivchenia in the producer's chair, and together they envisioned a rock record with an ambient sound design that really gives the album a unique style. Spoiler alert, it's one of my favorite records of the year so far. Our discussion gets into that production of the album and how guitarist Adam Brisbin played a major role in the way it sounds, plus the many guests on The Mirror, including Adrianne Lenker, Jolie Holland, and more. We also talk about Buck's new band Kisser, which is led by his partner Germaine Dunes, plus tour plans, 5 records he thinks everyone should own. There's a little food talk here and more. Let's get into it, shall we? I'm pleased to have Buck Meek on the show this week. He, of course, is guitarist in Big Thief, but is also a solo artist. His fantastic fourth album, The Mirror, is out via 4AD. Buck, thanks for joining me today.
Thanks for having me.
Where are you dialing in from?
Los Angeles.
I see drums in the background. Is this like a rehearsal studio?
This is just a bedroom in my house with a little studio set up.
Okay. I should also add, in addition to being a solo artist, you are a Brooklyn Vegan contributor of sorts. At the end of the year, we have asked artists to contribute like best of lists, and most people just send like their top 10 albums. But you made 2 very unique travel-oriented lists for us, and I don't know if you remember what those were about.
One of them was about breakfast, I think, breakfast joints.
Yep.
And maybe another one was swimming holes.
That's right.
Nice.
I think about those a lot when I think about you. Have you ever considered doing like Buck Meek's Guide to Touring America?
I have, actually. I've always thought maybe someday I'll retire from music and just like have a school bus tour, tour company where I take people around all my see-fit spots.
In addition to breakfast spots and swimming holes, are there other things that like you have like mental lists of?
Mostly food. I mean, barbecue joints, lots of good food spots, but it's for the most part.
Okay.
Food and swimming, my 2 favorite things.
Yeah. We're taping this on February 11th, which is a couple weeks out from the album's release. How are you feeling about things?
I'm really excited to get out on the road. An album is kind of abstract. The album release is kind of abstract until I'm on stage playing the songs for people in a room. So I'm really excited for that.
Yeah. How long ago did you finish the record?
I think we were almost a year ago now.
Okay. I should say you should feel great about this record. Brooklyn Vegan doesn't have an office per se, but if we did, The Mirror would be on heavy rotation. My coworker Andrew, he and his wife are about to have their first child in like 3 weeks, and they both love Gasoline, the first song on the album, and they have chosen it as their son's like official song.
Oh wow!
Meaning they have played it for him in the womb, and the idea is, so Andrew tells me, that when he is born and comes out crying, they will play the song for it. And because he already knows it, it will calm him down.
Wow. No way.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
What an honor.
So I thought you'd want to know.
It's incredible. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah. There's actually some talk of babies on this album. Both Pretty Flowers and Soul Feeling mention newborns.
That's true. I don't have a baby, but, actually on Soul Feeling, that song's about dementia, really, and kind of like the return to the mind of a child. A family member of mine is in dementia, and it's hard. It's really hard, but it's also beautiful. Like every time he takes a sip of a Coke, it's like his first Coca-Cola ever again, like a little kid. And there's like a really beautiful innocence to that as well.
To me, this album feels like it shares some DNA with Big Thief's album from last year, Double Infinity, from themes to what I call like sort of sound design elements. Were these records made around the same time?
Yeah, not too long after each other. I mean, and you're right, James Krivchenia produced my album, The Mirror, and the drummer in Big Thief. He also has a really extensive electronic music career, and he's designed all these different processes for making electronic music and sampling and field recording, like manipulating field recordings with like programs that he's designed. And so he brought in that element. My little rock band played in a room, and we were triggering a lot of modular synthesis and kind of electronic ambience landscapes that James had set up with Adrianne Lenker.
Oh, wow. How does that, I don't know that much about the inner workings of recording and stuff, but how does that work, like triggering?
So essentially we had the band set up in the live room with drums and guitar amps, and I was on the front porch of the cabin singing outside. And then we had a control room, and James Krivchenia and Adrianne Olsen were in the control room, and they could pull any channel from the recording console into their modular synthesizer world. So for instance, like they could take the snare drum, the attack of the snare drum, and then send that into a modular synth in parallel, where it would, that attack would trigger a whole sequence of modular synthesizers. Or they could use the vocal as a source for their modular synthesizers, or any instrument that was happening in the room live could be the source material for a bunch of electronic instruments, basically, kind of taking that signal and manipulating it through a variety of different oscillators. And so it kind of created this oblique kind of not random, but this oblique parallel reality to what was happening with the acoustic instruments.
Well, I think all that makes this album such an interesting listen, and one that's rewarding, like the more you listen to it, and also more rewarding if you've got good headphones or like a proper stereo. Did you come into this record knowing that you wanted to do something like that?
Yes. I think Adam Brisbin, who's been the guitar player in my band for 10 years, he is an incredible ripping guitar player on so many levels, but he can kind of go back and forth between playing super rhythmic, just classic guitar, rock guitar, to then also creating a lot of ambient landscapes. And on all our records, you can hear that. He'll create these kind of long tone drones and these kind of textural elements that he creates just with his guitar. But James Krivchenia had seen us play live and was really struck by that and proposed the idea of making an album that we really lean into that. And so not just with Adam, but with a whole host of ambient musicians. And so James and Adrianne were creating an ambient landscape. And also we brought in Alex Summers, the composer and ambient musician, who's like worked with Yancy from Sigaros a lot. They have a record called Rice Boy Sleeps. It's really beautiful. And also Mary Lattimore, the harpist.
Uh-huh.
So we brought in some different ambient artists to kind of contribute to that as well.
Did you have any other records which you sort of saw as like touchstones or reference points?
Not so much in regards to like the combination of the ambient world with the rock and roll world. I don't know if I have any offhand, but I do listen to a ton of ambient music. Juliana Barwick's The Pinte is one of my favorites, and all the grouper stuff, and Alex Summers, Yancy, and Sarah Davachi, and some William Basinski. And so that's a lot of the music that I listen to actually is ambient, just because I'm always making lyrical based music and guitar based music. So often to kind of balance that out, I'm listening to ambient music, I guess. And so it's like a natural progression for me to integrate that in my own stuff.
I really do love all the little electronic touches, like the melodic percussive elements, like the ping pong around, like on Ring of Fire. Like, I think that's all just like super wonderful.
Thank you. Yeah, that's an example of, that was Adrianne Olsen taking, I think, maybe the snare drum or something, and then using that as a trigger for his modular synthesis. So it was like this kind of, the rhythm was defined to some degree by the drums, but then there was, the melody was being created by his synthesizers.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
On Can I Mend It, there's a hook in there that sounds like a vocal sample to me, like halfway through. What's going on there?
That's, I think, James using the SK1, which is like an old
Casio. The
Casio keyboard,
first,
just like
cheap sampling keyboard.
Exactly. So he just took a voice sample with the Casio, which then you can play on the keyboard, and made that little melody off the cuff.
Oh, cool. Are there any touches like that have an interesting story that come to mind? Like
sonic textures and things like that, you mean? Or
something that you might not notice at first or not pay that much attention to, but there's actually something interesting about how it came about.
Yeah, let me think about that for a moment. I mean, so much of that electronic ambient stuff just happened in the control room very quickly. Mm-hmm. We were just experimenting, just with all the toys basically. But maybe a better story is this, which is a little bit oblique to the ambient world, but nonetheless, the song God Knows Why, it's kind of like a diss track, and it's kind of heavy. And we had played that song live a bunch as like a really gnarly kind of electric rock song, almost like Crazy Horse, and really unhinged. And when we tried to record it that way, somehow it felt really small. Like we were turned up really loud, and the drums were like Jesse was playing the drums really hard. Sometimes when you play really loud into a microphone, it ends up squashing the sound and makes it feel very small. And all you hear is kind of like that high end attack of the drum and not, and so it was James's idea to kind of go to the opposite of the spectrum and tune acoustic guitars down really low into like a baritone range and play the song much quieter and kind of just let the baritone acoustics like, rumble in letting the kind of softness of them bloom in the microphones and letting all that low end live intact. And so we actually played that really quietly, but it ended up feeling a lot heavier and like had a heavier, more rock and roll feeling, even though it was played much quieter with acoustic guitar.
With all those like sound design touches and stuff, has there been any talk of maybe like doing a Dolby Atmos mix for this record?
I'm kind of against it, to be honest, at this point. I mean, it's cool, but I feel like often like the environment in which Atmos is being listened to, I feel like isn't really advanced enough to reflect the breadth of that technology. Like maybe if you have like a hardcore Atmos system in your house and you're able to actually listen to it in surround sound, a really well designed Atmos mix could be cool. But I feel like what do they call it? Like the technology in like the Apple AirPods or whatever, that they're basically faking it. They're like using a stereo device to create the sensation of surround sound.
Right.
To me, just feels like smoke and mirrors. So I'd rather just make a really good stereo mix, which is, the way we've been doing it all for quite a long time. And it seems to work with 2 ears.
Yeah, fair enough. I've never actually like heard like a real like Atmos mix, but I'm, you hear about these like Tears for Fears have done for Songs of the Big Chair or something like that. You're just like, oh, I bet that does sound cool, And then when I heard this record, I was just like, this seems like something,
Again, I can imagine it would be really cool if you had a really nice system. But with a stereo system, which is the way most people are going to be listening to this album, I feel like just really leaning into the capabilities of a stereo mix was more our focus, because you can achieve so much with just a stereo mix, just with the depth. I feel like you can create the depth of field and the width just with so many different, with reverb, for instance. Just reverb alone is a way to create a sense of depth, and or a dryness is a way to create a sense of intimacy and etc. There's so many ways.
Right. I mentioned Ring of Fire before, and that song has a line in it, rock and roll is in my blood, which made me think of Big Thief's grandmother, which also has a line about rock and roll. And I don't know where I'm going with that exactly, but is rock and roll been on your mind a lot lately? I know that Adrianne wrote the other song, but
we actually wrote that grandmother song together. That was one of the first songs that the three of us had written together from scratch. Yeah, it's always on our mind. It's like our rock and roll's our god.
It also takes guts to name a song Ring of Fire.
Yeah.
Was there any thought about, should I do this?
There was. And, with this album in general, I think with the songwriting, and I tried to practice just doing the thing that I was afraid to do in general. Like with every, in the creative process, when you're writing a song or playing guitar or whatever your craft is, there's always inevitable like self-doubt that comes up, often based on like what you think other people want, or based on some kind of external pressure or taboo or whatever. And to some degree, the creative process is just kind of like working around those fears. And I don't know, with this one, I just tried to really lean into those things. If I felt something come up that I was afraid to say, I just said it louder or lean into it, emphasized it, and just did the thing I wasn't supposed to do, broke my own rules.
You mentioned Adam Brisbin before. I really love all the solos on this record. They're ragged, but they're also melodic. They go somewhere and they don't overstay their welcome.
Hell yeah.
Some of them almost reminded me of like Mark Ribot, like circa, Tom Waits or Elvis Costello.
Totally. Yeah, man. Adam Brisbin is truly one of the great living guitar players. He's a New York cat and plays in tons of bands out there. And I've been lucky enough to play with him for 10 years in my band. But I love how he spreads the gamut between, like, he can play the most delicate, beautiful chord melody, jazz or classical, like super intricate stuff. And then also to the other extreme of just being completely unhinged, like noise guitar. It just feels like a train wreck, and then he's combining those two worlds in the most delicate way.
Some of them go completely off the tracks and yet somehow sticks the landing, like lands right when you need it to come back to earth or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. And every time he plays this, it's totally, he's just improvising everything, it's always something new.
I also like the whistling solo on Worms.
Oh yeah, that's my friend Jolie Holland. who I've always really admired her as a songwriter, and she's whistled a lot on her records. Like if you listen to Jolie Holland's first record, there's so much beautiful whistling on that. It's hauntingly beautiful. It's just her and her acoustic guitar and the whistle. So yeah, I was stoked to get her in the session. That's an example of we dubbed out her whistle like crazy with a bunch of hardcore like reverb and fast stuff that kind of goes in another dimension for a second and comes back to earth. Mm-hmm. So that was fun.
Like naming a song Ring of Fire, whistling can be a tough thing to pull off sometimes, but yeah, I think it's really gorgeous on this song. Yeah. Something else that seems to me tough to pull off is the tone of this album, which has a lot of joy and wonder. Those would be like the words that I would use to describe it in a lot of ways. I mean, there's some dark stuff in it too, but overall, like it's a hopeful record. And I feel like when artists try to go for happy, it so often comes off saccharine, but that's not the vibe here.
Oh, thanks.
Do you think about things like that?
Yeah, for sure. Again, I think to kind of loop back to what I was saying before about saying the thing I'm afraid to say, I feel like just almost like making fun of myself a little bit, or just trying to write songs from a place of like genuine play, like trying to surprise myself, say the thing that is kind of like really scary to say, which then often ends up being like the funniest thing I could say to myself. Trying to make myself laugh, I guess, with a song while writing it, something that's almost like shocking to myself to say ends up being really funny and also really sad at the same time. And I don't know. That was kind of my watermark for all these songs. Like if I could make myself laugh or cry, then it would make the record.
We're living through very intense, dark times, and while I don't want to forget anything that's going on in the world, this album makes me kind of feel better about it. There's a lot of hope going on here, and it's just
Thank you.
It's a nice feeling.
Thank you.
And you hear that in the lyrics, the melodies, and the way the music sounds. It's all just
Thanks.
Works together.
Thanks. I mean, yeah, the songs themselves were like moments of catharsis or comfort for my, if I was going through something, writing the song itself was actually, a process of like acceptance or letting something go. And like the artifact of it is actually less important to me than the moment of conceiving it, if that makes sense. And maybe that's what translates to this feeling of joy you're talking about, because for me in the moment, it was like an actual moment of joy that I was trying to summon to like rise above something I was going through, or to memorialize something that I was going through.
You said you're anxious to get out there and like play this stuff live. Does the way this album was made, does that bring extra problems to the live setting?
I don't think so. I mean, I think that at the core, the songs themselves hold themselves up, and the band is, I think for the most part, still just a rock album, And also Adam Brisbin can carry a lot of weight in that department. He's a magician. So I'm sure he'll have a lot of fun kind of, mimicking some of the elements, the electronic elements on the album. And I can also pull some weight there too, like for the most part, I've let Adam take the lead, and I'm mostly playing rhythm guitar, but maybe for these tours, I'll kind of take more of the ambient landscape while he, focuses on the more like traditional role. We'll see, but it's always fun to try to adapt it to the stage. And I think Adrianne Olsen will join us for some of the shows as well.
Okay, I was going to wonder if it was going to be your usual solo band or expanded, or...
It'll, for the most part, be the 4-piece, but I think in LA, we're going to have Adrianne Olsen join us on Modular Synth.
Your tour hasn't been announced yet, but I know that Big Thief are going to be in the UK and Europe this spring, like May and June. When can we expect Buck Meek to hit the road on his own?
I'm going to be touring in Europe in March, right before the Big Thief tour in April and May. And then I'm going to be touring in the US in July with my band, like on the East Coast in July. We'll come through New York then. And then we're going to do the West Coast. Like, it'll be like East Coast down to Texas in July. And then December of 2026, we're going to be on the West Coast.
Since you have basically like everyone from Big Thief playing on this record, would any of these songs like pop up in Big Thief sets?
I might play them from time to time, just in the mid. Like often, Adrian will throw me a song during a Big Thief set to play solo, But probably not with Big. We have so many songs already. I mean, at this point, Big Thief has like a couple hundred songs, and there's so many new ones we haven't even recorded, so we got our work cut out for us there.
Right. Do you have like recording time set up for the next record?
Yeah, we're always working.
Okay.
Yeah.
Speaking of how like everybody else plays on this record or at some point or another or sings, coworker Andrew, who's having the kid, he said that this album almost sort of reminded him of Bob Weir's first solo record where the Grateful Dead were basically his backing band.
Ooh, cool. I need to hear that.
Yeah.
What's that called?
That I don't know.
I'm going to check that one out.
I should have asked Andrew, but sure we can go on Wikipedia or Discogs or somewhere and find that out. I will admit to being a casual Grateful Dead fan at best.
Right on.
I got nothing against them, but just one of the holes that I need to sort of fill in my life at some point.
For sure. Me too. I love them, but I haven't really done the deep dive yet.
Is there anything else that we need to know, like about what's going on in your world coming up?
Well, I started a band with my wife, Germaine Dunes, called Kiss It, that I'm really excited about. We made an album a few months ago at our studio, Ringo Bingo, with a group of our friends here, with Luke Temple on lead guitar from Here We Go Magic, and our friend Jesse. Yeah, our Feynman, exactly. And Jesse Clementine on drums, and Jeff Ramuno on bass. And she wrote an incredible collection of songs. I'm really thrilled for that. And we're actually going to open for my band on all these tours, so you'll have a chance to see us double head. I'm playing lead guitar in that.
Okay, that's a scoop.
Yeah, the album, there's no music out yet, but we have it.
Maybe by the time of the tour, will there be things to listen to?
Yeah, we're hoping to have something up by then.
Okay, that's exciting. Anything else?
I guess I could talk about some of the other. I mean, we had, who else came on the record? Stacey Foster sang on the album with Adrianne and Germaine Dunes on my record, and also my brother Dylan Meek played on the record as well. And he just put out a solo record called Love Languages. It's really stunning. Just want to drop that. But yeah, the whole album is just also kind of like a picture of our community right now in Los Angeles, which is a really special gang at the moment. So I'm happy to have like kind of captured a photograph of that.
When's your first show?
Our first show is March 12th at Sid the Cat Auditorium in Los Angeles.
Oh, okay. So you got about almost exactly a month.
That's right.
A lot of rehearsal or a lot of just downtime?
Well, Kisser's rehearsing a bunch because that will be our first show ever. Actually, we're going to do a couple little tiny like house shows on the way to that. But my band usually just rehearses for like a couple days before our tour because, we've been at it for a while now. I think we have 2 or 3 rehearsals scheduled right up to that shows.
Well, I think that's all I've got for you. But I do end every interview with asking our guests if they could name 5 records that they think everybody should own.
Oh, nice. Hell yeah. Okay. Okay, I'm just going to go off the hip.
Okay.
Terry Allen's Juarez.
All right. What about that one?
Terry Allen is this great Lubbock songwriter. He's kind of like a country mystic. This album Juarez of his, I think from 72 or maybe 75, is his debut record. It's like a full-on country concept album that follows these 2 kind of parallel couples across the border back and forth. And it's like full of bloodshed and love. And it's just like a film, like a beautiful, bizarre film, and a really cooking country band as well. But everything that Terry Allen's ever put out is really special. But yeah, Juarez is a good one to start. Then another album would be Sam Cooke, Live at the Harlem Square Club. That's Sam Cooke, like kind of, after his gospel era, he's like playing this big old nightclub in Harlem, and you can hear this crowd of kids just completely losing their minds. Like just the sound of like thousands of teeth just going crazy. And he had them in the palm of his hand, and the band is so cooking. It's just one of the best like captures of a real like entertainer, I think. And what else? Let's see.
3 more.
How about Life Without Buildings?
In Every City, right? Is that what it's called?
Yeah, any other city.
Any other city, right?
Any Other City by Life Without Buildings. I think that's a great album. I really love. She seems, the singer seems to just be making up words the entire time, and kind of just word sounds and mixing abstract words together, and the narratives kind of form out of nowhere and then disappear back into like the soup of word sounds. And it's just a really beautiful example of
Do I hear a dog?
Intuitive language. That's that little doggy.
What's his name or her name?
Her name is Ringo. Okay, 2 more.
Speaking of Life Without Buildings, did you hear that they're going to play their first shows in 25 years this fall?
Oh, no, I didn't hear that. That's great news though.
Yeah, so it's Rough Trade, the store, it's their 50th anniversary this year. And so they've got like certain things planned. And as part of that, they convinced Life Without Buildings to reform.
Damn, that's good news. I've been praying for that. I've never seen them, of course, but I would love to.
I think they only played like 10 shows or something like that. So
damn, that's exciting.
Yeah.
That record's been so important to like Big Thief. We've listened, I think, a million. Like, it's just like, we would just listen on repeat on tour for a long time. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I got to play a
two
show
more
with him. How about The King of History, which is an album by Daniel Owino Misian. It's one of my favorite guitar records. Dio Masani, or Daniel Owino Masani, African guitar player, incredible.
I'm unfamiliar.
Crazy guitar playing and bass playing on there. And then, I mean, this is hard. Boiling it down to 5 is tough. It's like I could go for 500, but
yeah, don't overthink it.
What about Victoria Williams' Loose? It's a good one.
Okay.
A little lesser known, but Victoria Williams is a killer songwriter from the 90s that kind of fell off the map after she put out a couple of her first records, but she was like a collaborator with Vic Chestnut, and I think Joni Mitchell was like championing her for a while, taking her out on the road, and she put out this amazing album, Loose. You Are Loved is probably my favorite track on that album. And also like Lee Reed played lead guitar on her song Crazy Mary on that album, I think, or at least live. But yeah, she's a total badass.
All right. Those are excellent choices. I thought of one other thing, in just like off of not musical things, but you said before that like food is one of the most important things in your life. Are you much of a cook?
Yeah, I try to cook as much as I can.
What's your specialty?
Well, been trying to I have like a smoker in the backyard. I've been making some good ribs lately. Some like Texas style smoked ribs, but also been getting into like Japanese cooking. I got a donabe. I'm making some good, just trying to get really good at making rice, just like sushi rice, simple kosher hikari sushi rice, and like making my own sushi vinegar, keeping it real simple.
Okay. Do you have a rice cooker, like a zojirushi or something like that? Or
I have like an old clay pot donabe, which is like the old form of, it's like a clay rice cooker, basically stovetop.
Okay.
But it's like really thick clay with a double lid, and you soak the kosher curry rice in there, and then you heat it just until it starts to smoke, and you turn it off, and basically the clay heats up to the point where it just kind of bakes the rice like an oven. So it's really like tender heat, really, really nice, like soft heat.
So almost steamed?
Yeah, it's essentially like steamed.
Huh.
But yeah, oh man, you could just eat that rice by itself. It's so good. And I mean, actually mixing, I make a lot of Texas barbecue, but I'm mixing Japanese food with barbecue lately. There's a place in Austin called Loro that's like a collaboration between Aaron Franklin from Franklin's Barbecue and the guy who has Uchi. It's like Japanese and Texas. It's a really good combination with all the like, the acids and all the like fermented stuff from Japanese and like also some Southeast Asian influences combined with like the heavy Texas barbecue stuff. It's a good combination. So I've been trying to do more of that.
What city do you look forward to most while on tour for the food?
Definitely New Orleans is what was up there. New Orleans for sure. Tokyo. And, but I mean, honestly, just Los Angeles where I live is probably my favorite place there's just endless food here.
I haven't been out there that much, but it's always like one of the main things I want to do. So
yeah, me too. And New York, from New York and LA, to be honest, in the States, in New Orleans.
Yeah. All right, Buck. I think that's going to do it.
Oh yeah, thank you.
Congratulations again on The Mirror. It's a truly like wonderful record. I love it.
Thank you very much. Thanks for listening. It's really sweet. Thanks for the thoughtful questions.
Yeah, and good luck with its release and the Big Thief tour and the subsequent Buck Meek tour after that. And we'll look forward to seeing you later on in the year.
Thank you. Yeah. Are you in New York?
I'm in New York, yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I think we're playing the Bowery in July, so hope to see you there.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Buck. Have a good day.
Thanks a lot. Talk to you later.
Okay, thanks again to Buck Meek for being on this week's show. His terrific new album, The Mirror, is out now via 4AD, and look out for him along with his new band Kisser on tour later this year. Meanwhile, you should check out our other podcast, BB Weekly, where my co-workers Dave and Andrew discuss the week's hot button music news, the latest releases, and more. You can also follow Brooklyn Vegan on social media, and if you liked this episode, be sure to tell your musically minded friends about it, as well as do all those other things, like, subscribe, Write us a review, give us 5 stars, all that kind of stuff. It really does help this podcast reach more ears. Big thanks to our mix engineer Nick Gray and Michael Silverstein for the theme music. I'm Bill Pearis. Thanks for listening.